Hello and welcome to TV Talks, the show where I take a look at both the good and the bad of what television has to offer. Let me ask you guys something. What's a little like water and oil? What's in the kettle and ready to boil? Well, that's easy. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. You know, one smelly rabbit, one pampered pooch, fell from the plane with no parachute. I bet a lot of you don't really remember this show, but back in the day, Disney Channel promoted this a lot. In fact, when Dave the Barbarian was on, this show was also on. And I don't know if this was like an official thing anywhere else, but a lot of the kids at my school would always compete about which show would be best. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers or Dave the Barbarian. Of course, y'all know me, I was on Dave's side the whole time. But secretly, I would also go over enemy lines and watch Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. It wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. And of course, when it just kind of disappeared after a while, I got kind of confused and disappointed. But then Dave disappeared, and I had even more things to worry about, even though I didn't realize that show had gone until years later. But now looking back on Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, does it hold up? Well, let's see about that. What's the plot? Well, there's a smelly old rabbit named Mr. Whiskers and a pampered dog named Brandy, and they, well, exactly what the theme song says. They fall out of the plane with no parachute, and they're stuck in the Amazon. So it's kind of about them wanting to get back home, a la Gilligan's Island, and kind of about them just trying to make their way and survive. It's not that it just changes from episode to episode, no, that's just the characters. Brandy really wants to get back, but Mr. Whiskers actually prefers the Amazon, so there's kind of a bit of a conflict of interest there. While Brandy does absolutely try to make it in the jungle, she really just wants to get back though. Along the way, they meet some friends like constantly arguing toucans, a lovable python, a dim-witted thing, and an evil gecko. It seems like a pretty average cartoon, right? Well, that's because it is. When I think of early 2000s cartoons, this is usually one of the first ones that come to mind. Decent animation, decent voice cast, humor. Not really counting anything on the stories here, because the stories, like a lot of cartoons that were trying to go for comedy in this day and age, are just setups for more jokes. How are the jokes? Very, very hit and miss, and they all seem to allocate in the same categories. The wordplay and sometimes the a la random humor, that can be pretty funny, but a lot of the slapstick and bodily functions, not so much. It's as simple as that, and let me tell you, there's a lot of the bodily function stuff, but let's talk about the slapstick first. It's not that it's bad, it's just been done. The animation is very lively and very, very erratic. They do a lot of those wild takes and body stretching and all that kind of stuff. But they don't do anything unique, it's just kind of stuff we've retread before. Now let's talk about the bodily function stuff, specifically with Mr. Whiskers. It's always farts, burps, snot. Every episode seems to have something like that. And they don't even really do any jokes with it. It's just kind of, ooh, something gross, that's the joke. It confuses existence with humor. That's not a good sign for a comedy cartoon. But don't think that Brandy's off the hook either. No. She is absolutely ear-grating and obnoxious. She's like every single stuck-up person you've ever known, but with a high, shrill, squeaky voice. Between these two, I don't even know how I managed to watch the show when I was young. It's almost infuriating. But there has to be something good about this. Well, actually, yeah. Like I said, the animation's pretty good, and of course some of the verbal humor is decent. The theme song is awesome, and the side characters are actually pretty likable. I especially like the stupid mongoose? The guy who's voiced by Tom Kenny, named Ed. A lot of the funniest stuff comes from him. Also, the villain's kind of cool too, and the fact that he's kind of gay, but like, they don't really draw attention to it, and I think he has a crush on Brandy or something, but I don't know, like, there's a lot of overtones with him that just kind of, yeah. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers just appears to be one of those things where it's got so many good strong points, but for every strong point it's got a weak point to counteract it. And I think that kind of showed midway through. Midway through, they decided to kind of shake up a lot of stuff like changing the house, changing some personalities, changing how much characters were being used. They really tried to change up a lot of the formula, kind of what happened midway through between the seasons of American Dragon Jake Long. And of course, it did nothing to help save it from Disney's evil episode restraints. For those who don't know, Disney would always put a cap on you. They would always say, oh, 52 episodes, that's all you're gonna get. Kim Possible and Phineas and Ferb seem to be the only ones that broke out of this exception. If you were mildly popular, like American Dragon, still, that's not gonna cut it. Bye-bye. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers seem to do okay, and okay is not gonna cut it for the mouse-eared regime. So it was gone. I don't think it was really missed that much either. Honestly, I completely forgot about it until 2014 where I accidentally stumbled across the theme song. And that's kinda how it should be, I guess. The theme song is easily the best part of the show. Kinda wish I didn't go back and rewatch it because it definitely doesn't hold up as well as I thought. No, it's not bad, not at all, but it's certainly not good. I wonder if I should have a rating for that. Oh yeah, I do. It's called Nothing, and that's what this gets. It gets nothing.
You get nothing!
Have you ever had one of these shows where you remember it being so good back then, but then you come back to watch and it's just kinda meh? That's this for me. What was your experience with that? Did you like Brandy and Mr. Whiskers? Comment below, let me know. Also, please let me know if the Dave the Barbarian, Brandy and Mr. Whiskers debate thing was a real thing, or was that just at my school? Alright, I'll see you guys next week.
Good night, everybody.